announced that came out were complimenting the Biden-Harris administration, saying that it will be the largest decrease in generational poverty since Texas's own LBJ's war on poverty, if we used it the right way. So it really was a transformative moment. I want to thank the members of Congress from around the country, particularly our local ones who voted for it, and I thank those who didn't vote for it for showing up at all the press conferences as though they did. But let me not be too critical. I probably have done that a few times myself as well. I know Gloria Moreno is here from Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia's office. Give her a warm round of applause. They may not be here, but Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, her daughter happens to be here. Also Congresswoman Erica Lee Carter, but Congresswoman Jackson Lee was the dean of our delegation at the time when those funds came down. Congressman Al Green, obviously. Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher. Am I skipping anybody? Congresswoman Green, Fletcher, your mom, obviously, and Sylvia Garcia. Those, anybody, yeah, and Sylvia Garcia, those four voted for it, but all of them, even if they didn't vote for it, I'm just glad that we had it. If there are any other staffers from elected officials here, someone is here from Gene Wu's office. I want to thank you for being here. A few department heads, Santrice Jones, who just stepped down, was the director of early childhood initiatives. Are you here? Give her a warm round of applause. Thank you for being here. And extremely important, Tao Costas is here, who is the head of our housing department. Thank you for being here. I want to thank all of my staff members. It's a 30-minute film, by the way, so we didn't go too long. But I want to thank them for putting it together. I think I kept kind of walking around shouting from time to time, saying we need to document this so if the opportunity ever comes again, they'll look at what we did. And I want to thank all of the leaders in Harris County who came together to make this program work. When this money came through, it created a moment when our leaders addressed a major crisis head on. In this moment, we invested unprecedented resources in our communities. Through the American Rescue Plan, Harris County got $915 million. And here's what we decided to do. You get almost $1 billion. You just round it off. Normally, if it's 915, you round off to 925. But you know how we just go and say $1 billion. Well, we decided instead of just starting to spend the money, we would do an equity framework. We would do an analysis of what needs were and come up with some process so we wouldn't just go do stuff based on who yelled the loudest, who had the most clout. So we put together an equity framework. The way it works at Commissioner's Court, I can only talk to one of my colleagues about a policy issue because if I talk to two other than in public, it would violate open meetings. So for me, to be honest with you, I hate to admit it, I usually don't talk to any of them about issues because the truth of the matter is I might forget which one I spoke to. And some commissioners' courts have gotten in trouble because you might send a text. That just happens when you're doing a lot of things and you move fast. Unlike when I was in the legislature and I could just go on the floor. I guess they or we exempted ourselves because I'd walk around on the floor, but we don't do that at Commissioner's Court. But our staffs can talk. So part of this framework was putting together an ARPA steering committee. So if one of the five of us had a bright idea or some department head had a bright idea, it had to go through this process where it was vetted. That took about a year. So our $915 million turned into $1 billion because we put the money in interest-bearing accounts until we could spend it. So it really was $1 billion. I want to give you a short breakdown on where we spent this money. 106.5 million went into healthcare. 243.8 million went into housing. 272.1 million went into jobs and education. 140 million went into justice and safety. And $150 million went into county operations. Many of our peers around the state in particular just took the money and filled budget holes that they had. which means it was one-time money. So then you end up with a serious problem when the money is gone. We did not do that, other than for that $153 million. A lot of that was just putting tape on stuff to hold it in part. We got a lot of criticism along the way. I remember on one of the programs that I pushed, I think it was the guaranteed income program that didn't make it, but I pushed it, and a news commentator asked me on one of these talk shows where some genius is just popping off, and they said, well, Commissioner Ellis, how do you respond to people who weren't lucky enough to win in the lottery to get this, however much it was, $1,500 a month, Towel, help me, $1,500, $500 a month for a year and a half, right? Well, what do you say to the ones who didn't get it? So here was my response. I would never take the position that I'm not gonna help anybody because I can't help everybody. And a couple of my colleagues saw that in other places around the state and said, you know, that really did make a lot of sense. I said, I was just on the hook trying to think of something, just told the truth. I mean, how could you ever say in government, I'm not gonna help anybody if I can't help everybody? But we did some mind-blowing things. A lot of them were experiments. Some of you in this room that I've seen, if you catch me in a corner when it's over with, I know you're gonna come over and lobby for your program. And a couple of my colleagues said, when we were designing how we'd spend this money, don't start that, because then people are gonna be mad when it stops. Well, why be in government if you only fund things that you know you'll always be able to fund? I'm hoping that with some of those programs, it gives the public some sense of how much we can do when we invest in our people. And then maybe you can make the case. But you know, it all evolves around money. Last comment I'll make, guy that I guess started off in politics working for, I normally you think of Mickey Leland, was really Bill Hobby. As an intern in graduate school, I was on Governor Hobby's staff when I went to Austin to go to the OBJ school. And all of the studying and stuff that I do, even if I did end up on probation a little while from spending too much time out there at Lake Travis. But Bill Hobby had a great line. He said, state government is 90% finance and 10% poetry. Our new county manager, remember that. Really, it's true of all forms of government. It's 90% about the money, because there are very few things that come across my desk that don't take money, other than the resolutions, which we do a lot of. They don't cost some trees, but they don't cost money. But it's 90% finance, and then the 10% really is poetry, which can be a wonderful thing. I want to thank my wife for being here. You think you have trouble putting up with me in public office? Alicia, give her a warm round of applause. Have I skipped anything? I know I didn't follow all of your notes, but y'all wrote some good stuff. Let the movie begin. Thank you. After one of the worst disasters of humankind.
We'll always remember what we've been through, and we'll always remember the people we lost.
Having come through a pandemic, what could be done to help bring Americans back?
The World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus outbreak a pandemic, citing alarming levels of spread and activity of the virus and urging countries to mobilize to change the course of the outbreak.
More than 1 million Americans have lost their lives from COVID. The pandemic, as the AP writes, leaving empty spaces in homes and neighborhoods across the country, whether we're aware of them or not.
tens of millions of Americans out of work, many lining up for benefits in their cars.
Prior to the crisis, about 11% of Americans suffered from food insecurity, and we have every reason to believe that those statistics are increasing dramatically.
I was leading up an organization helping homeless people. They were stuck out there, no place to go, shelters were closed.
The COVID-19 pandemic impacted every aspect of life in Harris County, and it really illuminated the disparities that existed already, and it made those disparities worse.
The county's COVID-19 threat system is at level 1, severe. County officials say by definition the virus is spreading uncontrolled and threatening to overwhelm our healthcare system. This level also means the county is asking everyone to stay home unless absolutely necessary to leave.
Anything short of staying home is setting us up for failure.
We're prepared to work as hard as we can to ensure that our local communities who have experienced such a deep revenue source loss are made whole.
It was urgent. I mean, people were dying. People were losing hope. We needed to do something.
Let's join together to blunt the spread of this virus, and then let's transition into next year together.
This is America's day, a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Once-in-a-century virus that silently stalks the country. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge.
The people out there made it clear they strongly support the American Rescue Plan. This historic legislation is about rebuilding the backbone of this country and giving people in this nation, working people, middle-class folks, people who built the country, a fighting chance.
When I first heard about ARPA, I knew that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to try and help families that had been devastated the most in terms of a loss of financial resources, put their lives back in order.
I was actually in Washington, D.C. working on Capitol Hill on some of the legislation that went into ARPA. So we were working with national groups that focused on housing and trying to figure out how to structure the programs.
Harris County was very lucky to receive $950 million in ARPA coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds. The beauty of ARPA was just how flexible it was. Because there was such a broad range of uses available to us, we really had the flexibility to put the money where it could be used best.
Direct allocation to Harris County. That was unprecedented. So we didn't have to fight with state leaders on our share of the funding. And it really did make a difference in the lives of people in this county. My priorities were to focus on areas where you could enhance economic opportunities for people who had been left on the sidelines. That was affordable housing. That was child care. Direct economic assistance.
Whenever I got the call from Commissioner Ellis to come back down to Harris County, I was thrilled because this is the community that I'm from, born and raised here, and to think about how could some of the federal legislation that I worked on actually impact local communities here on the ground was an exciting opportunity.
Our federal government stepped up.
The bill as amended is passed.
To respond and provided the ARPA resources.
It really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to address a major human crisis.
It's incredible what Harris County chose to do with the resources.
How do we rebuild our community and our neighborhoods better? They engage so many stakeholders, leaders, friends, nonprofits, private sector to say, what would you want to see if Harris County could do more? And then we actually began to do it.
Health, housing, and jobs. That's what we're going to focus on because these will be things that set people up long beyond any assistance that they're receiving from the county.
It was very important to be intentional with how the dollars were spent because A lot of these communities have not seen the necessary level of investment for generations. The American Rescue Plan Act was an opportunity to identify which of these communities needed the most assistance.
My staff took the lead on developing what was the equity framework that we came up with.
Every single ARPA-funded program needed to be scored on it, and if it didn't pass, then we went back to the drawing board.
What we mean by that is we can't just go where we've always gone, or the people that are the loudest. Where are the most neglected or highest need that we can address more immediately with this funding? Because those people sometimes have trouble getting to the application. And we would say, well, make the application easier or help them fill it out. That's the point. They need help.
The framework implements tools like equity assessments, community involvement, and data analysis to guide decisions and ensure that resources reach those who are most disproportionately affected.
From housing, homelessness, food assistance, the public health crisis, improving county operations, and helping to improve our justice system.
These are the priorities that they have identified, and we are here to carry forth the strategy and the intention of our leaders.
The first was the shots in the arms and the providing the masks and providing the healthcare needs.
Congress has worked to make sure that vaccines and boosters are manufactured and made available as quickly as possible, and that they are free and easily accessible.
And then it was about getting the families back together and making sure that they had what they needed to have a better quality of life despite the pandemic. And then it was going back to work, opening up businesses.
Some of our first priorities were expanding access to vaccines and supporting our hospital system. Mental health, behavioral health was one of the most severe health impacts that people had experienced during the pandemic. So the Harris Center started the Healthy Minds, Healthy Communities program, which aimed to take mental health into communities and open a conversation around mental health. One new capability we developed within Harris County Public Health was the ability to work on maternal and child health. We have tremendous disparities in maternal and child health, so we were able to establish a maternal and child health program that provided support.
What's your name?
Atkins.
Ms. Atkins, I'm Rodney Ellis. Most people in communities like this cannot afford high-end daycare. So to the extent that government can give these kids a chance to get a leg up, it's so important. The most important phase of learning is what we learn in these very early years in life, and it really pays off in dividends later on.
I am a single parent of 4. I started out doing Amazon and enrolled in school. I had to take my son to work with me. It was difficult. So I got the call that you guys had funding. I enrolled him in daycare. So now every morning he's running out the door with his backpack saying he's ready to go to daycare.
The American Rescue Plan Act dollars provided a very unique opportunity for Harris County, especially when it comes to early childhood and the initiatives that we have been able to implement. We're setting a strong foundation for the family because the children are able to access affordable, high-quality childcare.
The commitment by the county to invest almost $200 million in early childhood education was historic and continues to pay dividends. Early Reach is where we offer free placements for children at high-quality child care facilities. So we support the child care director and worker to help them get their finances in order, training their staff, and then we guarantee them that we're going to pay for 20 spots for children. So they have guaranteed funding, and it's been tremendously impactful on the families, the children, and the centers.
I'm a survivor of domestic violence.
One of the many frightening things about the pandemic was that immediately so many people were shut into a really unsafe situation. A number of the people who would be most affected and at risk in the pandemic were survivors of domestic violence.
In 2020, over 21,000 calls were made to hotlines as a result of domestic violence.
The resounding feedback that we got from domestic violence service providers and from the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council was people need a safe way to get out. And so that's where the Domestic Violence Assistance Fund came. We were able not only to provide direct financial assistance for people leaving situations of intimate partner violence, but also actually support those organizations so that they can do the work longer term and have more capacity for that.
We have to have resources for centers like the Houston Area Women's Center. We have to have relief for victims, survivors, because domestic violence is terrifying.
It's been such an important part of Harris County's investment in the community that Commissioners Court decided to permanently fund it with general fund dollars.
Luckily, I was able to find safety and seek shelter at the Houston Area Women's Center.
I dream of the moment in our city, in our region, where we are at zero in terms of domestic violence. That should be the goal, and that's one that I believe is achievable. But until such time as we get there, we do need to provide safe spaces for women and their families and others so that they don't have to remain in those situations.
The Houston Area Women's Center got funding for a number of purposes, both direct services, but also for a new campus where they can house far more families and provide more services on site.
We need these services for our community to thrive, but look how far we've come. Those survivors are doing their part, and I'm so grateful you're here to do yours. We need you. We need you because together we can solve this crisis.
The number one cause of death for young people in this country is gun violence. I thought it was important to try and do something.
Commissioner Ellis really wanted to have and take advantage of this opportunity for a gun buyback program, and he saw that it existed in another part of the country and thought, I bet we can do that here.
There are too many guns in the hands of those who want to do us harm.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, from the very beginning, you were pushing these gun buyback programs. And I know all of the dollars that we are using, they are federal ARPA dollars.
We were able to voluntarily get guns off the streets and into the hands of law enforcement.
Now, I must admit I was shocked just how popular those gun buybacks were, to see those long lines of cars.
The people who have come today, I can assure you that they are helping us by taking guns away from the possibility of being stolen or misused.
Many counties and cities across the country use some of their ARPA funds to create guaranteed income programs, which basically is financial assistance that is flexible.
Across this country, guaranteed income programs have shown to be effective at helping improve a family's stability, economic mobility, and well-being.
Not only did the money give me extra income, but it also gave me time so that I was able to go back to school and take care of that. It gave my family a sense of security.
We looked at the top 10 highest poverty zip codes throughout Harris County and wanted to really target those communities.
I think we saw during the pandemic that direct cash assistance to people is the #1 way of helping them out. People overwhelmingly spent money on medical bills, on rent, on food, on the things they needed just to survive.
There was this gentleman by the name of Mr. Hawley. He was a veteran, he served his country, and he fell on really hard times. He was really looking forward to this guaranteed income program.
It came via text message. I was still so shocked that when I called, I said, this is unreal. Just for me, it would be just to be able to just really buy groceries and definitely there to pay some bills.
He came to so many events. He advocated so well on behalf of the program.
People was very helpful in keeping me abreast of things because I wanted to stay on top of it.
Unfortunately, the state sued us and thought that it was not a legitimate use of federal dollars.
There's a lot of people that needs the assistance. We're trying to help people, okay? That's what this whole country's been about. And that's what the city of Houston and that's what Harris County is about.
So after over a year of litigation, we had to end the program. We did revamp it to help folks who are experiencing homelessness and to provide food assistance. So we were still able to help those households.
Rather than simply reacting to crime, it's better to try and prevent it in the first place.
The idea is really simple. It's that when you make your communities places where people can live and work and play, the whole neighborhood becomes safer. And so we've Across the county, every precinct has invested in programs to improve sidewalks or plant trees so that people could actually be outside across the seasons in Houston and Harris County.
It was amazing to me to see the difference that even a small amount of money could make. We're cleaning up after illegal dumping, securing abandoned pools, demolishing unsafe structures, creating a safer environment was an example of how that flexible funding was able to make a huge difference.
We came up with programs that would help people start small businesses. And one of them, we created a revolving loan fund.
It's about putting money in the hands of our entrepreneurs, our small businesses, especially our minority and women-owned businesses that suffered during the pandemic but are still there, and some that have started since the pandemic to ensure that they could grow, add jobs.
Once we put that money in, partnering with a not-for-profit, it would generate an opportunity to have additional funds to continue to have more loans for people who are starting up, small startup micro businesses.
It's really historic because it was a public-private partnership where we found a matching partner from a bank, a community development fund bank. As these businesses would pay back their loan, that will give more funding for new businesses in the future. So this will last past ARPA, and we are really proud of it, the Harris County Opportunity Fund.
Really proud to be a part of the first ever revolving loan fund in Harris County. Thank you.
In homes across the country, many are fearful that moratoriums meant to protect them from eviction will expire in just weeks, potentially leaving them homeless.
To end homelessness, people need to be in their own homes. It seems logical, but it takes resources and it takes true engagement and care.
I am a disabled, proud veteran of the United States Army. And I'm someone you would call the working poor. I experienced homelessness as a working person, but it was programs like rapid rehousing. Rapid rehousing helped put me back on my feet to get back into stable housing. So let's keep these programs going. Homelessness, it needs to stop. It needs an ending.
It is a navigation process because these individuals have nothing. We're not just investing in and supporting homelessness efforts. We are building long-term solutions. Homelessness is one end of the spectrum. The long arc of housing affordability is about also supply.
One of the things that we did was actually say we will invest in long-term affordable housing.
Harris County has invested $256 million in affordable renting units. And we're planning to put another $200 million from the American Rescue Plan into building and preserving affordable housing.
The way that Harris County leveraged funds through ARPA and with other grants really has set us up to have hundreds of families today and thousands of families in the future that will be able to live in these long-term affordable homes.
We created a multifamily acquisition program where we went in and acquired old apartment buildings, rehabbed them, and made them affordable for low-income households throughout Harris County. One exciting project that we worked on is the Hay Center, which is a beautiful new campus to provide wraparound services for foster youth who are aging out of the system. We were able to use more than $5 million in American Rescue Plan Act dollars to support that campus.
What our county has done is made an investment in we need to create more. We are finding partners, developers, and entities, nonprofit as well as for-profit, in order to create apartments that will allow people who are making $30,000 or less be able to afford rent and sustain themselves.
This OST Lofts is a perfect example because we put dollars to hit the ground to help people, to help them transition to a space that was safe, a space that's nice. And here we are. It worked. And we had a lot of projects, but for the ARPA dollars, they would not have been able to really come to fruition.
What a privilege I have to serve in this body.
My mother, late great Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, was so passionate about helping 18th Congressional District and Houston survive and recover and thrive after the COVID-19 pandemic.
We consider ourselves the pride
of the nation and the pride of Texas.
She always tried to finish everything she started, and so I wanted to finish that term for her, be a public servant for the place I grew up. There's nothing greater than to have that opportunity. She was so excited that the county decided to use its money to create so many new services to address critical needs in her community. She was a part of it, proud of it. You know, I just want her to be part of this celebration.
There are many programs within the ARPA portfolio that have exceeded expectations.
We always included a component where it was transparent, and we used the federal funding to come up with independent evaluators to measure the success of everything we did.
In food and nutrition, over 400,000 households have received services. Within behavioral health, the program has served over 17,000 individuals. The apprenticeship program has served over 1,400 residents by expanding the number of apprenticeship slots and the industries represented.
Coming in here really prepared me, the appropriate skills, making enough money to secure my home and my family.
What I'm hoping comes out of this is a proof of concept to see what worked, what didn't work, what can be improved, what ought to stay the way it is, and what you ought to stop.
This became a real community-wide initiative. There are hundreds of organizations that were touched by ARPA. You know, the money brought us together, but a lot of those relationships persist for the long term.
Even though everyone had different ideas and priorities, we were able to come to the table to design incredibly impactful programs and manage them effectively to ensure that the residents of Harris County would benefit from every single dollar we received.
One lesson I think we learned is that be methodical. Don't just get the money and let it start burning in your pocket. Come up with a plan, come up with a process. At the end of the day, spend the money.
We've learned it doesn't have to be perfect to get started. In a crisis, you got to get started, right? We don't have 2 years to stand it up. So thank you to the feds for giving us a tight deadline. It kind of forced it upon us. And we could make tweaks, and we did. But we're like, let's get started. Let's help people.
The bottom line was always getting the dollars and the help to people as quickly as possible.
We took this money and used it to create once-in-a-lifetime opportunities for people.
Every city and county took different approaches, and we were stronger together when we saw what other places were doing and could teach other people what we were doing.
It's just about caring leadership. You've got to have someone who really does care, who's willing to put themselves in the shoes of the people who are on the ground suffering. You've got to have people in positions that really do care about people and want to put people first.
I think in a crisis, it shines light on what the importance of government, what government can do. And it's shown the community what government can do.
It was a time to be creative about what could public service and public policy look like if you had enough resources to actually impact the communities and develop the programs that you know that they need.
COVID was an extraordinary challenge to all of us, and the extraordinary response that it required is something that we don't take for granted. It can't always be that way. However, we also know that it can be done.
This ARPA funding has shown us that there is flexibility within government. We can hone in and focus on those programs that are most important to meeting our community's needs.
Some of my colleagues make the argument, don't start any new programs, because if you do when you don't have the funding, you make people mad. I would never take the position that we're not going to help anybody because we can't help everybody. Or we would never use a good idea because we didn't know how to sustain it. If a lot of these programs work, we can make the case to our state and federal partners, or we can make the case to the voters in Harris County to continue it.
We tried to be very good stewards of the ARPA funds, and we tried to, as much as possible, make one-time investments, multifamily apartment properties, proofs of concept like the Youth Diversion Center that could prove that they pay for themselves. But we also invested in programs that require ongoing investment, like maternal and child health, chronic disease prevention, behavioral health. And we have seen that those programs are delivering results. So we shouldn't only meet those needs after a crisis. Our communities need those programs for the long term.
It makes me so proud that the impact of a lot of these programs is so tangible. And there are countless stories across Harris County that just show the impact that these programs have been able to have on them. And I think that's incredible.
As an immigrant, our family benefited from the generosity and the support of our government. We benefited from having housing vouchers and being able to live in apartments that were affordable. I wanted to give back.
I think a great lesson of the Biden administration will be that when they had the opportunity, they used it to try and put a dent in generational poverty.
I'm so grateful to the Biden-Harris administration for taking that approach and really entrusting local governments with this responsibility.
There was a pandemic, and the American Rescue Plan was there to do what the government should do during a pandemic. We didn't know what the actual solutions were, but we saved a lot of lives. We helped a lot of people who were suffering.
$1 billion coming to Harris County was unprecedented. And with the flexibility we had to design programs and enough time, we really did make an impact on the quality of life for everyday people.
We wanted to get help down to the local levels, down to the local governments, to make sure that they could get the money directly to people as quickly as possible.
While we had the opportunity, by God, we did things to help working class people in Harris County, and I'm proud of that.
So I'm here to tell you all, these services do work. I stand here in front of you as a testament of the possibilities when we make the decision and we have the resources, we can now thrive.
Invite her to share a few words. Come on up, Nicole.
Good evening, good evening. I didn't know I was gonna be in the documentary. I'm glad I didn't wear that same jacket. So again, my name is Nicole Griffin. And a lot of times when you need help, people always just tell the bad part and complain about what doesn't get happen, or what services they didn't get, or what fell through the cracks. I'm here to tell you a success story. I'm here to tell you that I was at rock bottom, so I couldn't do nothing but look up. And they handed me a hand up with rapid rehousing. Now let me explain something to you. First of all, you got to want to help. You got to go by the criteria they set before you. You have to get case management, you understand? When you get a job again, you need financial coaching, because you might not be the best at money handling, you understand? You can't go by you no scratch off and your light bill due. Let's just keep it real. People want to keep those same bad habits and then blame nobody for wanting to help them when you're not helping yourself. Now, when I was in the shelter, some ladies came through with these handmade pillows. That was in October of 2015. I went in the shelter June the 8th of 2015. I left October 1st of 2015, and I have never returned. October 1st will be 11 years that I have never experienced homelessness again. Let me just explain what a pillow does. A pillow is meant to lift your head up, because when you're in the shelter, or when you're laying on the street, or when you don't have nowhere to stay, a pillow is significant. A pillow, ain't nobody giving you a pillow, but to you, you go home and lay on the bed, you throw pillows on the floor, right? You got pillows on the sofa, right? But this pillow is significant to me because it showed me that somebody cared, that somebody did a small gesture to show me that I am significant, that I do matter, that I am important. That's what these programs mean to these citizens of Harris County. These programs are important. They mean something to the single mother. It means something to somebody who's going through domestic violence. It means somebody who's going through a food insecurity. It means something that you get the guns off the street, that people can walk their kids to school. You understand? It all ties in together. And if we can really just remember this simple thing, if we can help uplift each other, all our communities, and especially the best community in the whole state, in the whole union, Harris County, Texas, can be the example for the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole, for those powerful words. Next, we will have our county administrator and our former policy director, Erica Lee Carter.
Thank you, Nicole. You're going to get on a marketing campaign for Harris County, because I agree with you, and you were so powerful. And she is, and so many others like her, what it's all about. As I give an overall framing, I would be remiss if I did not thank, of course, you saw them in the video, but Judge Lena Hidalgo, Commissioner Rodney Ellis, Commissioner Adrian Garcia, Commissioner Ramsey, and Commissioner Leslie Briones, and Commissioner Jack Cagle, who was here when the American Rescue Plan Act money came and first started, for it was they who set the course on the path that led to all the services that were dispersed throughout Harris County. And from the Office of County Administration, when that money came, who, what department, where, who houses it? You know, we didn't have a pandemic office just set up to lead and collaborate, create that collaboration. And it soon and quickly became, after budget, the Office of County Administration. And so I give salute to the first county administrator, Dave Berry, The next county administrator, Deanna Ramirez, who helped continue. Our interim county administrator, Jesse Dickerman, who also has continued. And now I'm county administrator, Erica Lee Carter. The ARPA team, led by Romeo Solis, who should still be here. Please stand up, please, please. Had to quickly hire staff, had to corral some unruly court staff and very strong, powerful elected leaders to make sure we were meeting the needs of their residents and communities. And what you saw was success. 160 projects delivered, 130 partners, nonprofit businesses throughout Harris County, benefiting over 900,000 residents and counting, because we're still going. This included 22,000 that were screened for lead in their blood, over 4,600 residents that did apprenticeships and upskilling programs. I think we had someone from DEO here. Stand up. 28,400 individuals that received legal assistance to prevent eviction, because the best way to not become unhoused is to first not get evicted. We had 26,676 students who were enrolled in summer youth programming to help not just our 0 to 5, but our 5 to 18 that need opportunity after school is done. And 105,000 households received tax filing assistance to ensure that they got back the money they sent to the federal government. And lastly, over 73,700 children trained in abuse prevention by our Children's Assessment Center. This was a complete team effort from every county department, every partner that was involved. It was not alone, we were not by ourselves. So my final words are to say the pandemic hit everybody hard, but when it hit, some people had shoes with strings and socks. Some people only had shoes, and some people had no shoes. And Harris County chose to start with those who had no shoes and help as many people as we could. And I'm truly, truly grateful. Thank you.
I'm up here to say thank you all for coming tonight. I do want to just give a quick shout out. I'm Daniel Cohen. I'm the Director of Communications at the Office of Commissioner Rodney Ellis. And I just wanted to mention that our team worked really hard on the film. So I just want to give them a note of recognition if they want to stand up. And a film's not a film without an audience. So thank you for being here tonight. Please have a lovely evening. Thank you.